help you?
I was wondering, can I get somebody to do a wellness check?
Okay, and what's the person's name?
His name is Father Rene Roberts.
I think my brother might have done something to hurt him and stole his car and everything. He made a comment to my dad that Father Rene was tied up. You mean that he's busy? He's physically tied up? Physically. And my brother is just crazy enough to do that. He tied my sister up a couple years back and tried to kill her. That's what we're afraid of, that he might have hurt the old man.
Every suspect accused of a crime has the right to remain silent. Many agree to be interrogated anyway, but they can stop the interview at any moment, making it a race against time. Justice hangs in the balance.
Yes, ma'am. I called last night to have a well checked up on Father Rene Roberts in St. Augustine, and nobody ever called me back to let me know the verdict of that.
One second, okay? It said that they didn't actually go out with him. His vehicle was also not there.
Mr. Rene Roberts is not answering his phone still. We're worried about that man.
I got a phone call from my sergeant at the time, and he told us we had a missing priest. And when he told me who it was, it kind of set me back on my heels a little bit.
We made contact with the person who cleaned his apartment, and patrol deputies went inside the apartment with her, and he was not there. I noticed there were some couple of drawers that were pulled out. There was mail everywhere. There was food on the kitchen counter, which appeared that somebody may have taken a bite or two and kind of just left it there.
There was no obvious signs of a struggle. There was no blood. So it looked like he could have just up and left.
Father Rene was very prominent in St. Augustine, which is a town with a very large Catholic population. He had retired from the full-time priesthood, but still did services and different functions for the church.
It had been several days that no one, even very close individuals, had heard from him.
The Catholic Church told us about Father Rene missing several appointments, which was very out of character.
It's like he fell off the face of the earth.
My brother was a saint. He always said he was going to be a priest someday. He loved helping people. I remember when he came home and said to my mother and father, I want to teach the deaf. And then he eventually went to teach the blind too. My brother saw the potential in so many people, and they were your family, no matter who they were. Sometimes I used to think he carried the world on his shoulders because he just wanted so much to make people happy.
Amy Law says her family expected Father Rene to do the prayer service for her 88-year-old grandfather Monday night.
Very sad, and we'd like answers.
The next morning, the priest didn't make it to the funeral home either, and a military chaplain had to step in.
Definitely had a sinking feeling.
Since then, fears about what happened to Father Rene have grown.
So tell me who Father Rene is to you.
So the first time I talked to Father Rene was right after I had my brother arrested. When I asked him not bond him out, we wanted him to stay there and dry out. My brother is Stephen Murray.
Okay.
My brother got out. He got released from jail. And Father Rene called me when he got out. My brother had already contacted him for money and rides and stuff like that.
Okay.
She told the detectives that Father Rene had become involved with individuals that were troubled per se, that had been in jail. He always tried to actually help them recover, get on the right path. And Father Rene was trying to help Stephen with drug addiction and drug use.
So what made you call the sheriff's office?
My dad came over And my brother had been staying over there with them since he got released from jail. Okay. And so I asked him, how Stephen was doing. He said Stephen left with Father Renee the night before, and that was the last time he'd seen him. I've been dialing his number ever since, for the past 2 days, and it's going straight to voicemail.
Okay.
And so I'm like, oh my gosh, what if this man is hurt? Stephen he is a violent person.
Okay.
So, we just feel like he might have hurt that man.
Does your dad know about all this?
We got a feeling he does, but we think he's trying to cover up for my brother.
Behind the Signal 8 vehicle, we got Corolla, blue in color. We're on 207 headed towards 95, and looks like he doesn't want to stop.
We're talking he's doing 115, 120 miles an hour on I-95. It's a high-stress situation.
We knew that it was not Father Rene driving. He would never flee from a traffic stop.
We didn't get close enough to see there was a white male individual in the driver's seat, but we could not identify him.
I've got him right in front of me. $433 here. We need that vehicle stopped.
We suspected the driver may be Stephen Murray, but we were not sure 100%.
If you can't safely do that, I want you to back off. It's not worth it.
All right, we're in the construction zone. We're going to have to slow it down, guys. 54, we lost him in the construction. We all backed off.
It was a little bit frustrating and upsetting. Whoever was driving the car was a critical piece of the puzzle for us to be able to get to where Father Rene was. Bobby was there by himself. We told him, listen, we need to figure out where Stephen is. We need to talk to him. Bobby said, I can't help you and find him. While we were at his father's residence, Stephen contacted Bobby Murray on the phone and told him that he was running from the police. Stephen said, well, I just outran multiple deputies. The officer spoke with him and told him he needed to turn himself in. Now we just have to find him.
As an investigator, you're a little conflicted on trying to expedite and get as much information as you can as quickly as possible. There were some things that I would have liked to have confronted Bobby Murray on, but we wanted to make sure that we kept him talking and that we didn't give him a reason to be offended or terminate the interview.
How you doing, sir? My name is Gene Tolbert. I'm a detective with the Major Crimes Unit in St. Johns County. And I realize this is probably a crazy situation for you to be in. But I need your help. Okay? Your son's in a little bit of trouble. Alright? And we need to figure out how we're going to handle this. Okay? You say a little bit. What you talking about? Well, I can't answer that right now. Okay? So, that's why I need to know what you know. And I can compare it to what I know. And then it kind of gives me a direction from there.
We were working against the clock as far as Father Rene's well-being goes. There was still a hope that we would be able to bring Father Rene home alive. We really felt like that Bobby was going to be the key to unlocking this investigation.
I got a call from detective, and he said, Father Rene, he's missing, and people are very worried. I was so scared for him. I had this feeling I was just so scared for him.
Let me ask you this. Tell me, what do you know as far as your son's activities for the past 3 or 4 days?
He came to the house last night. We walked up to the house. He was drinking. He left the house about 4 hours ago. When he left, he took my phone with him.
Any idea where he went to?
No.
Okay.
He didn't say. He just told me he'd be back in a little while.
When he left earlier, how did he leave?
He drive around. I don't know what kind of car it was.
Could it have been a Toyota Corolla?
It could have been. I don't know.
Well, the reason why I ask is because that's what he was driving tonight when the police chased him.
Yes, sir. I'm saying it could have been.
Okay. And no idea where that car came from?
No, sir.
The car that we spoke of, that you said Stephen showed up in your house, it actually belongs to Father Rene, the person who's been reported missing out of St. Johns County. And the circumstances in which that person went missing are very suspicious. As a detective, my number one question is why is Stephen driving this man's car? And where's this man at?
I'll be honest with you, I don't know. He called me. He said, I got 15, 20 cops cars behind me. And I asked my son, I said, what the hell are you trying to do? He said, I don't want to leave no more there. He said, I don't want to leave.
Okay.
And that's his exact words. He told me. And I told him, I said, son, don't do that to me.
Right. I'm with you.
I can't deal with that.
I'm very concerned about some of Stephen's statements about wanting to die, and I don't want to see Stephen hurt or dead or anything any more than you do. And if he has this kind of, attitude, and
this is what's going to happen.
I
already know.
I'm just asking you for your help the best you can.
I'm sitting there. That's where he took off,
There are so many scenarios that are possible. If you were to call Stephen right now and tell Stephen that if he wants you to come pick him up, that you'll come pick him up.
He ain't what I'm doing. He knows I'm here with y'all. He ain't going back to prison.
But I still gotta find this man.
I really have no idea.
After talking to Bobby Murray for a period of time, it seemed futile, and he was just eating away at the clock.
Hang tight with me, and I'll get right back with you, okay? That's right.
If he had information, it was pretty clear he wasn't going to share it with us. Blood is thicker than water. It seemed like he would do everything he could to protect his son.
This is exclusive video of Father Rene's family leaving the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office after getting an update on the search for the missing priest. They told me they didn't want to go into detail, but they appeared disappointed and frustrated.
They had tracked the phone to a sparsely populated, heavily wooded area. SWAT starts working down this fire break in the woods, searching for Stephen, and they come upon Father Rene's vehicle. As they're approaching, they find Stephen Murray in the wheel. Stephen apparently sees some motion or light in his rearview mirror, starts the car up, and takes off.
However, he ended up crashing and running away from the vehicle.
So he has fled into basically the jungle.
We thought maybe Father Rene is in the trunk of that vehicle. When they approached and looked, Father Rene was not in there. At that point, we suspected that something bad had happened to Father Rene, but we did not know. We wanted to bring him back home, whether alive or deceased. Finding Stephen and capturing him alive was a priority.
just to know that he could kind of be lurking above, kind of in the tree canopy, is a pretty scary scenario. After several hours of kind of keeping constant pressure and perimeter on this area, working it with teams, dogs, and helicopters, we kind of catch a break, and finally Stephen comes down. I think it was very tiring on Stephen, and I think he just ran out of wind. Fortunately, he didn't have a weapon with him at the time, and he was forced to concede and surrender.
Stephen Murray was originally from Aiken County, South Carolina. We have a history with this guy. My experience in dealing with Stephen, anytime, especially an overbearing male figure moved in aggressively towards him, Stephen would automatically put that wall up and he would shut down. And eventually he's going to lawyer up.
Gentlemen, let me shut this door here. Gentlemen, if you would, so let's go. Thank you.
Oh, man.
You get over and work back there.
I'm paying attention.
Where'd you do your time?
I'm not on something.
My first and major concern, as everybody's, was for the safety of Father Rene. That's priority. Where is he? Is he safe? But time starts to become our enemy. And Stephen was the only person above ground who knew where Father Rene was. He was the only person.
I know you're not going to ask for it, but would you like something to eat? We're hungry. I didn't say I'm hungry enough to eat that ass out of a whole restaurant. Let me work on that. I'm just tired, man. I really know. I'm very tired, man. I wish somebody could just help me. I mean, just take this from me, man.
That's what I'm here for. I'm here to talk to you and tell me what I need to do to help you.
Yeah, you get that one wrong. Like we've been driving all day.
Yeah.
So, which one you want? I want that.
It's easy to have conversation while you're eating food. Takes some of the pressure off. Also, that releases some chemicals in their body, especially if they haven't had any of that in a while. Sometimes makes them a little bit more talkative.
How in the hell did Florida told me was aggravated fleeing and losing? And they don't even know that was me driving.
Didn't you talk to a policeman that night on the phone?
I talked to a policeman.
Yeah. Did you tell him you were driving the car?
Talked to a JSO. They said, man, I don't know what you did, but you pissed them off and they want to talk to you. I said, okay, well, I'll turn myself in and talk to him. Didn't tell him I was driving though.
At that point, after eating, we knew he was settled. He was ready to go. He knows that now we're going to start getting into some questioning in more of a confrontational way.
But how fast were you driving to lose all the police cars?
I wasn't driving.
I'm not going to argue with you about it. We know you were, because you told your dad, you told your sister. You know, we didn't just magic our ways up here.
So you have his car. We haven't heard or seen him since. How does that look?
I understand.
How does that look?
But just because something looks some way, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to refer. It doesn't look good. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It does not look good. This man is missing. We're still here trying to find him.
I'm a law-abiding citizen. You know, I like smoking a cigarette, man. I ask a lot of questions. If there was something I could do to help you, you know what I'm saying? Do that, I would.
When did you get his car?
I called him and told him that I had some money for him if he wanted to come get it.
Where do you think you're at?
He picked me up right there by my dad's.
So what did you do after that?
Me and Father Renee was riding. He didn't know that I was going to meet somebody for some meeting, which I didn't tell him that because, you know, he's a priest. I was me meeting the dude at the camera room right there, so I asked Father Renee if he would stand right here for a minute. You know, Father Renee usually does that. I dropped him off. And I never came back. I mean, I ended up doing drugs. And I never came back and got him. And that's how I got his car. And I'm like, oh, I'm in trouble, you know. I shouldn't have did that. It was too late, you know, so I just got the car, you know.
So what did you do after that?
I just drove and I was scared. I know that I was in trouble.
Where do you think he is right now? Did you ever go back out to the area to look for him?
I'm not sure. I mean, I was probably on the road, you know, mine somewhere else, you know. I can't even give you an exact date, but it's not something that I keep up with. I can't actually say that because I don't know.
About what time did you drop him off?
So on Sunday. I'm not sure which day it was. I'm really not sure.
We had been talking to him for such a long time, and we were going in circles.
No, never been to it. I don't know, man. I don't really know, man. I mean, I'm not real familiar with that area.
What was he wearing last time you saw him?
I mean, that's not a lot now. I mean, you know, I couldn't honestly tell you what he was exactly wearing.
He's giving non-specific answers. His defenses are up. I don't think we're getting anywhere. So I felt like we need to push a little bit harder. It's kind of a make it or break it part of that interview. Because all Stephen's got to do is say, I want my lawyer.
Listen, I think you know a lot more than what you're telling me.
I mean, he could be alive and well somewhere right now. He could be on vacation for all I know. I mean, he hasn't told me anything. He hasn't told y'all anything. So therefore, we all don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Steve, come on now. I'm asking your help. Any piece of information that you can give us so that we can bring him home.
Hey.
That's...
Well, I'm answering every question you asked, huh?
Well, that's some things that we don't think you're being truthful about. Yeah.
But I mean, it's opinion, you know. Opinions like that. Everybody's got one, you know.
What do you think? Is he dead?
I mean, I couldn't tell you. I mean, me personally, I don't know. I mean, I couldn't tell you if he's dead or alive because I don't know.
What did he say that happened to him?
I mean, you just asked that, and I just gave you an answer, you know. You've been asking the same questions, expecting a different answer, you know. It's a definition of sanity. I mean, so if you're going to keep on trying to dig at it, then we ain't got nothing to talk about.
What do you mean?
I mean, you ain't getting anywhere. I mean, if I won't continue to ask the same questions, and I don't think there's nothing else we need to talk about. What a cigarette, man. Y'all got my nerve to a slap up, man. Asking all these 1,100 questions.
So where are you stalking, man?
You can see by his attitude he was going to shut down and not talk to us anymore. But you cannot give up.
Our job during this interview, get him talking, keep him talking. I was there to get the confession. It was to make sure that I left the door open for another investigator at another time.
Are we ready to go, ain't we?
We're rocking and rolling, man.
Ready.
What's going on?
I can't call it, man. Another interview? Man, them jokers that just left, they were asking the same question over and over and over again. I'm just looking at them, man. Can't you see it?
Oh, you're not trying to make yourself comfortable, see? I'm not sorry, we were putting him in an ambulance to go to the hospital.
It's probably the overdose somewhere.
Now, you remember me, right?
I do.
You sat in my office, remember?
Yes, I do.
And we were straightforward. You were younger then.
I was 16. Well, you had just turned 17. You just turned 17. The last time we spoke was a burglary. Remember the samurai sword? And you got a good memory. I do have a good memory.
You can watch his body language. He's uncrossed his arms. He's sitting back in the chair again. He's not slumped over. He's looking up again.
It was best for people that he had encountered in the past to walk in that room, just put him a little bit more at ease. Stephen Murray had had a very, very difficult and abusive childhood. We knew if you touched on that emotion that Stephen carries inside of him and then back off of it, that would open a door, a floodgate.
I'm wondering, you've got a decent head on your shoulders. Why would you get messed up with something that you got to be sitting in a sheriff's office at some ungodly hour?
Well, you know, it's like you got this baby, newborn baby. You raise that baby. Hate, hurt, and struggles, rape. You know, and the baby grows up on that.
Becomes a product of their environment.
Becomes a product of the environment.
You got it rough.
Hey, what can I do about it, you know?
Get dealt a hand, you do what you can.
Right, you pray about it, but hell, my knees is tired and my knees is getting sore. My damn knees is sore. I got calluses on them. I need some with break.
You know what, those calluses tighten you up, man. I don't blame you for that.
I am who I am. Somebody jump out the car and run and y'all holler, don't do it, Steve, and that's how right y'all know. You were straight with me and I was straight with you. I tried my whole life to change who I am. I'm almost sick puppy. I'm sick. I'm trying to be that. And it tires you out, don't it? For what? You're mentally tired. Because I don't want to be that. You're not physically tired. You're mentally tired. Mentally, you need a rest. You need a mental rest. But, do you know where it really all begins? Being honest with yourself. There you go.
Stephen came back to life. He was initiating. He was engaging. And when that happens, that opens the door for the potential for something else to follow up.
We're done. Let's go smoke. I'll smoke, but you are careful. You're right-handed, right? You're left-handed.
I walked out being 100% satisfied with what we got because I knew there's an opportunity for tomorrow.
The search for Father Rene is not over. Numerous sites have already been looked at, and more are to follow. Father Rene is still missing, but his presence is still felt at the San Sebastian Catholic Church.
We are going to find him, and we're going to bring him.
How you feel about going back to Florida, man? I feel real good.
Damn, girl, you up here?
We thought that was going to soften him up and get him to talk.
It was obvious that they had a very close relationship, but there was a calculated risk in putting Bobby Jean in this position. Stephen was being so unpredictable at that point. Everybody's fear was that he was going to shut down completely.
We brought your sister here. She's obviously told us that you got a big heart, that you're not a bad man. We're just trying to bring closure to the family, find out where he's at, so we can bring him home.
And I don't want you to think that I'm going against you right now. I just want you to do the right thing for a change. Okay? I'm not going to look at you any different than you being my brother, and I love you. You ain't got to say nothing else. Just say yes or no. Can I help him? I think we want to see you do the right thing, and, you know, regardless of whatever it is, we're here.
Appreciate it. I ain't got nothing to say. Ain't got nothing to say, and I really don't.
You ain't willing to throw me any hints.
Wait to the grave. I've always had. I'm sorry I had to taste this plate with me. I'm sorry, baby. Y'all make bad decisions. it in our life. Unfortunately, I made a lot of them, you know.
There was a moment you can see his face expression change, his body posture change, and he kind of just slumped to the side, and all of us were convinced that he was going to break down. And we thought that was the moment for us to actually go at him hard.
They're building a big case for you down in Florida.
It looked like the Statue of Liberty, and I'll try to knock it down.
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen.
We need to bring the priest home. You just gotta face him. Okay? And lying is not gonna fix anything.
I'm lying, man.
Because you are.
You are, Stephen.
Call me a liar to my face.
That's right.
Well, you know, I reckon I like to exercise my rights then.
I felt like he punched me in the mouth when he said that.
He pulled the trigger and did his Miranda warnings, and that was that. We're done. I tell you, it was soul crushing to be that close.
The reality was that we may never be able to locate him. We had to come up with a new strategy on how to move forward and get our heads back in the game.
Hey. We're going through hell out here that we don't even deserve. People talking to us, talking about that we used to help you cover up stuff and all. We probably know where Father Renee is. We don't know how much more we can handle. I just broke down and cried yesterday because we don't deserve this. My kids don't deserve this.
I'm sorry, Gene. I mean, hell, what do you want me to do? I mean, tell me.
I just want you to be honest with them, regardless of the situation. This ain't gonna be over with until they find Father Renee.
I love you with all my heart.
My cell phone rings, and I learned Stephen Murray has asked to speak to detectives. We didn't know about what, but he wanted to talk to us.
He'd made a phone call to Bobby Jean, and I do believe that conversation with Bobby Jean could have been a very pivotal moment for Stephen. I was hoping that Stephen was ready to talk. He was getting ready to get it off his chest and tell us.
Okay. All right. It's your show, brother. We're just here to watch. Tell us.
All right. Well, the first part of the story I told y'all where Father Renee picked me up, and I was going to pay him the money, which was true. And I picked him up after I got back from the dope trap down off 90. And we went up to South Carolina, you know, so I want to see my kids.
Did he say he didn't want to go?
He said, no, boy, he didn't want to go. He just said, okay. I mean, I wasn't aggressive with anything, you know. I wanted to go see my kids.
Where's he at in the car?
He's in the trunk by that point.
He's in the trunk. Okay. Is he tied up or anything like that?
No, sir.
How'd you get him to get in the trunk?
That's him, too.
Did you say or else?
He said, or else. So I need you to get in the trunk, Father Renee. He said, okay. I'm right in there, you know. I helped him in there. I told him, I said, just do what I tell you to, and everything's going to be okay, you know. And, you know, I'm talking to him, you know, and he's still telling me, you know, that I'm in great trouble and that I'm never going to get away with this. And I'm thinking, you know, like, oh, man, you know, maybe I am in a great deal of trouble. I guess I got real skitsed out, man. Scared, I guess, you know. I mean, it's scared for me, it's scared for my life.
Is there something that snaps in your head, like, hey, I got to take care of this, or this is going to be a problem? Or
if he going to go back and tell on me, though, and get me in trouble, I mean, and go ahead and get rid of you, you know.
Okay. So tell me about that. What happened with that?
Well, he's steady talking to the trunk, you know. He's hollering like I use a bathroom. And I said, okay, you know, I'm gonna let you out in just a second, you know. And so I stopped and let him out to use the bathroom. I had a 9mm and I stopped him.
Okay. So, like, me and you were looking at each other right now, and you shot him like that?
It was more of from the side. And then he fell and I shot him in the head.
Okay.
And left.
Just listening to Stephen talk about the way he murdered Father Rene in such a cold and callous way, it's one of the times in my career that I've actually felt the presence of evil in an interview room.
Shot him in the chest one time and in the head the last time.
Stephen finally confessed Father Rene was no longer alive. He's dead somewhere, but he still needed to come clean and tell us where the body was. Finding the priest and bringing him back home and making sure the family got a proper burial for him was critical.
Well, tell us what happened with where you say you killed Father Rene. Where'd that occur at? Like on the side of the road or a gas station?
Side of the road.
Okay.
It's a real wooded area.
Real wooded area?
Yeah, like, y'all would have never found him. It happened in Georgia, close to South Carolina.
You know what highway it is? What road? 'Cause I know you know those roads like the back of your hand up there. You know it better than I do.
Yeah, I know the roads, but I mean, I would have to take you.
Okay.
I mean, because, period. I mean, I don't want to sit here. I like to ride for man, but as far as like taking you to the exact location, I would have to be in the car when it out.
So we were all thinking he's playing games again.
I think that gave Stephen a certain sense of power and authority, and that he was in charge in that situation, but the decision was made to put Stephen in a car. And almost immediately when we pulled up, we saw a flock of buzzards kind of take off, which kind of drew our attention over, and you could see Father Rene's body laying at the edge of the wood line. It's an emotional roller coaster, obviously. Tugs on your heart. It eats away at your being sometimes, but it's about getting to the truth.
Ultimately, it's very important that we find closure for loved ones of the deceased.
It was a special ceremony for a man who meant so much to so many here in our community. People came from all over to say goodbye to the beloved priest. He touched the hearts of so many.
He was a gift and a blessing to us.
And with that, it was time to send off Father Rene.
Without the interviews, I don't think that this case would have came to the conclusion that it did. And I do believe that justice was served in this case, but I don't think there's any amount of resolution for this case that would ever satisfy anybody. When people saw the killing of a Catholic priest as kind of an attack on our very fiber, and I really think that stirred emotion in a lot of people. Father Rene had actually talked about possibly dying at someone's hands in the future. And that if that had ever happened, his wishes would be that that person not be subjected to the death penalty. So it was agreed upon that Stephen would plead guilty to life in prison for malice murder, and he would spend the rest of his life behind bars.
I believe it was a gift from my brother, Father Rene, to love and not hate, no matter what. So I, in my heart, have forgiven Stephen for taking my brother's life. I know my brother's with God, and we'll be all together someday. But you gotta let it go. You gotta let the anger go and the hatred go and just love.